I am in the midst of the biggest transformation of my life. I avoided getting married until I had established myself and my career. Lilith, my first and only wife, was born a month after me. Earlier this year, we both celebrated our 50th anniversary. We had nothing to protect when we got married. So there are no prenuptial agreements. Lilith and I have been living in this house for 21 years. We moved here a year after we got married, and then brought our firstborn here 2 months after. We got settled. Our second child joined us 2 years later. The kids are in college now. I recently convinced Lilith that we should move to a gated community for 50 or more couples. As soon as we had firm commitments regarding the sale of our house, we signed a contract and allocated several thousand serious money for the maintenance of a new house. Now you understand why most of our things are packed in boxes. However, I'm not going to move into a new house. In fact, none of us will move. I just got off the phone with the realtor who withdrew our offer. The loss of a couple thousand was a small price to pay. However, our time in the old house is over. We really need to move as we attended the closing of the contract 3 days ago on Monday. We have a week until tomorrow to hand over the keys. Lilith thinks I went on a business trip yesterday morning. I haven't worked since I quit a week ago. I bought a one-way ticket to Atlanta. I have a car from Atlanta, and I'm going to the Bay, and then I'm going to board a ship. I have to be at my secluded place on the island in a couple of days. I have no plans to divorce. Lilith, I really plan to take all the proceeds from the sale of our house, my $401,000 payout, and most of our savings. With a newly acquired personality, I hope to live my life sailing the Caribbean. Opening offshore accounts has cost more than I would like to admit. Thanks to electronic banking and the corresponding amount of money laundering, all this money is now in the cryptocurrency. Accounts of my new identity. Since there are more than 10,000 cryptocurrencies, I damn hope that the one I chose will survive. I plan to convert this imaginary money back into something more stable as soon as possible. Imaginary things can disappear at the most in opportune moments, something like Lilith's wedding vows. Around 3 p.m. I called Lilith. She answered on the 4th ring, and there was indignation in her voice. "Hi, baby. How was your trip?" "Okay, everything is the same, but in another city." "What are you doing?" "I'm just packing some more stuff." "Okay." Line number 1. She's 30 miles away at Arnold Pernus's house. He is Lilith's current lover. I really don't know if he is her first lover. The thing is, I don't care. One is too many. As much as I'd like to put a bullet in their heads, my revenge is just to leave Lilith alone. Arnold's wife will most likely clean his watch. Do you mark the boxes where your things are? Yes, dear. Lilith is clearly marked on mine. Yours are marked as Howard. It will be very easy to put your things in your closet and mine in mine. Please look for my diary and my desk. It should be in the top right drawer. In a minute, I don't see it. Are you sure about where he is? Line number 2. She would have to be in my house where my brother is now to at least check. All I really cared about was that my brother would have enough time to vacate the house I sold. Since it doesn't seem like she's going to be coming back anytime soon, I'm sure my plans shouldn't change. No problem. You said you were having lunch with friends today. Where did you go? Do I know any of them? We went to the diner next to my office. Just some of the ladies I work with. What are you going to do for dinner? Line number 3. My investigator says she arrived at Arnold's at 9 a.m. this morning and hasn't left yet. I'll probably just order a steak in the room. The company pays for it. What else are you doing today? Just another load of laundry and packing of leftovers. I hear the dryer worrying. I have to go. Call me later. I love you. I'm in touch. I think once you start lying, it gets easier. There was nothing about this woman that I could believe. There were 2 rented trucks parked outside my old house, and 4 guys were loading things as fast as they could. The truck with my stuff was heading to the warehouse that my brother rented this morning. Another truck was making its 4th trip to the consignment store. Both trucks were supposed to return to the rental point by 5 p.m. By the time I hung up with Lilith, my old house was probably empty. I was waiting for confirmation from my brother. He definitely earned the $5,000 I paid him. The overnight package addressed to my lawyer was ready to be shipped. I signed all the legal documents and sent them the house keys and the garage door opener. Lilith will also have to hand over her keys and bottle opener. My lawyer will contact her soon. I didn't call Lilith again. When I tried to talk to Arnold's wife and tell her about the investigator's report, she hung up. That's life. She will receive the report along with photos and videos as it will be delivered by courier today. Then there were 16 packages that I mailed. Lilith's parents, her friends, her employer, her siblings, and damn it, our kids got the same package. I put notes and parcels for the children, notifying them that I was disappointed in them, was disappearing, and did not know if I would ever get back in touch with them. And the package I felt best mailed to Lilith allowed me to spill out other than stirring in the pan. I'm not sure what I expected to achieve. Still, it was nice. Lilith, by now, you've probably realized that your depraved actions led to the loss of your marriage. I took all the readily available money. I also took what I wanted from home. The rest of our belongings were delivered to the consignment store for sale. My lawyer has the details. You can claim the proceeds. Don't bother looking for your jewelry. This gold gave me a decent amount of money. The rings from your aunt brought the most. My wedding ring didn't bring anything special, but that's life. That diamond earring you got from Arnold wasn't really worth much. Just like your wedding vows. The house is empty now, and I have withdrawn our offer for a new house. It was just a ploy to get all the proceeds for our house. Thanks for playing along with me. I'm not planning on divorcing you. You can spend your money on it if and when you save up. I plan to replace you as soon as possible, but it doesn't concern you. I made it clear to the children that I was disappearing. Since both were aware of your affair and kept silent, I decided to disown them. I told them that. If your parents hadn't invested all their money in this retirement village, they might have been able to help you. Maybe you and Arnold can sleep in the same car. Maybe not. I don't know much about him. He sucks at society, but apparently that's what you traded your lukewarm lifestyle for. I hope all this juice you've swallowed won't cause you too much heartburn. I left you your father's gun and a box of cartridges. It's a pity you were too busy to join me in shooting lessons. Well, point and pull the trigger. Do you understand? If Arnold had kept his mouth shut, I might never have found out about you too. What were the chances that he would walk into my brother Steve's bar? Steve said he was immediately wary, as there aren't many women with a name like Lilith. When he was paying with a credit card, Steve asked to see his driver's license. After that, it was pretty easy to get all the evidence I needed. I hope you weren't planning on forcing everything on me and running off with Arnold as your pimp. Thanks for a few sweet memories, but for the most part, all the other memories are tainted. Howard, instead of leaving my phone, I tossed it to a homeless guy huddled against a dumpster behind the hotel. I wrote down all the contact information I wanted to keep. I had a good night. Sleep. In truth, it took a few small bottles of booze in the hotel room. Since it was all on my credit card, I didn't care. I had no intention of being around to pay any bills. I have doubts that any bills will be paid. Lilith has been a housewife for the last 22 years. She worked until she got pregnant shortly after we got married. I had a fairly well-paid job, so she didn't have to work. Too much free time after the children graduated from high school turned out to be her downfall. My investigator couldn't find out much about how Lilith and Arnold met or how long it lasted. What he found out was that my children were dating them. For some reason, Lilith dropped by the college campus and invited them to dinner. The investigator indicated that he was following them and shooting a video with sound. I was able to identify my children. Arnold was introduced as her lover. Whatever Lilith promised them, it turned out to be their downfall. They had plenty of time to call and talk to me, but it never happened. After taking breakfast to my room, I hailed a taxi and drove to the TAFE used car parking lot. I just walked out of the hotel. I let Lilith try to figure out why Isaac didn't check out. I wasn't supposed to be free until Monday. I drove an old car to the coast. By Saturday evening, I was at the beach. Having successfully withdrawn a pocket full of local currency from my new identities account, my first purchase was a dinner with drinks. During the meal, A very friendly, scantily clad woman convinced me to spend more of this money on her. With breaks of several hours between sessions, I spent my money for a night of bliss. The exchange rates made it so that I could do it every day of the week if that was what I wanted. Yes, that's what I wanted at the moment. While planning to create new email accounts, I bought a laptop and a cell phone. It will be difficult to connect the new me with my old one. I set up a VoIP phone number and got the latest news from Steve. Lilith, at least Howard left me, a gun. In the form I am in, I lie awake at night and wonder if I should just get it over with. I was drunk on attention at the time. I never realized that it was just a game that Arnold was playing to turn me into his toy. If they had told me a year ago that I was going to have an affair, I would have laughed in my face. There's no way in the world this should and could happen. I guess I'm ready to be chosen. I met Arnold at the gym. He was training at the same time as me. How did I even fall for all these well-rehearsed lies? Somehow deep down I think I wanted someone other than Howard, someone who would tell me that I am sweet and desirable. He was patient. Compliments turned into drinking and talking in the parking lot. The decision to stop at a fast food restaurant for a snack was my first mistake. Why on earth would a married woman date a married man in a private setting? It took months to slowly bring me to what we were doing afterwards. I started thinking about Arnold when I was making love to Howard. We moved on to meeting at his summer house once a week. It was quite easy to be a little late home from running errands. When Howard was out of town for a few days, I was Arnold's toy. Somewhere along the way, he made me believe that I should leave Howard, take my share of the marriage, and he would do the same to his wife. We could continue our adventures as a couple. I do not know what made me tell my children about this, but I did it. I think Arnold led me to this decision to strengthen my desire to give up marriage. When Howard left for that trip to Atlanta, I hadn't decided what I was going to do. I thought I handled Howard's call pretty well. It was only in the morning when I was about to leave that I read a message from my sister. She received a package from Howard with detailed descriptions of my novel. Arnold! Howard knows. Good. You can start the divorce right now, but I'm not. I shut up because I haven't decided yet if I really want a divorce. I ran to the bathroom and threw up. What have I done? Around this time, a car pulled up, and the gentleman handed Arnold the divorce papers. That fool. She'll leave me with nothing. Take care of your own. Shit yourself. I'm leaving here. And with that, Arnold left. When I barely got home, I found that our house was completely empty. I threw up in my bathroom, too. As I'd been over the toilet, someone rang our doorbell. There was an overnight bag by the door. I was afraid of the worst. Howard's letter crushed me. I called my children and told them about the nightmare my life had become. They also received parcels. They had video evidence of what a cheater I had become for Arnold. They were shocked to realize that Howard no longer wanted anything to do with them. I think they were hoping for an opportunity to explain their reasons to him. I'm aware of my guilt. After buying some fast food, I headed to the consignment store. My credit cards were still working, which surprised me. Some of my stuff has already been sold, and that jerk over there said if I want my shit, I'll have to pay for the cancellation. It was cheaper to buy back only what I wanted. This fast food was no longer digested. When I called Howard on his cell phone, some drunk answered. The children were no more fortunate. I didn't think Steve would help me, but I had to try. He laughed when I started asking questions. I'll tell you what, Lilith, I'll pay you $50 a night to be a topless waitress. What do you say to that? Fuck you, asshole. Well, don't tell me I wasn't trying to help you. I hung up the phone, bastard. It was the longest weekend of my life. I was sleeping on the floor, and then I was trying to figure out what else I should buy at the thrift store. The only pair of shoes I had were the ones I wore home that day. I didn't have my makeup on. I went to a discount store and bought bathroom essentials. I tried to talk to my friends and family, but Howard sent them a video. Not a single soul wanted anything to do with me. The call from Howard's lawyer was disturbing. The locks will be replaced on Friday, regardless of whether I'm there or not. Obviously, I can't be charged with trespassing if the home buyers want it. On Thursday evening, I loaded my worldly belongings into the car and spent the night in a cheap motel. The snotty kid was acting like I was a cheating trick-taker. I became homeless. I knew we had bank and brokerage accounts, but after reading Howard's note, I didn't expect to find any money. It took a long time for each institution to convince them that I had the right to have access to the accounts. I couldn't rent a cheap apartment with what Howard left me. Fortunately, he didn't cancel our credit cards. If I keep track of my expenses, I will be able to live on these credit cards for a year or until they are revoked. My calls trying to find a divorce lawyer only increased my pain. I didn't have enough money to hire a lawyer. None of them were ready to take on this case on an unsecured basis. When Arnold called and told me he had nowhere to stay, I laughed at him. He suggested that we get together to make love a little bit. I told him where I was staying, leaving the door ajar. I sat down and waited in my car. I left Arnold a note asking him to strip naked. A few minutes after he entered the room, I returned and opened the door to see a naked Arnold staring at me. I remember Howard texting me, "Point and pull the trigger." I fired once, and the bullet hit him almost perfectly between the eyes, although I thought I was aiming at his heart. I flushed the note down the toilet and waited for the police. The officer I was talking to looked skeptical when I told him that when I returned, I found a naked man in my room, and before I knew who it was, I shot in self-defense. They confiscated the gun and escorted me to the headquarters. I was allowed to leave, but 2 days later I was arrested for first-degree murder. I forgot that there was a recording of that phone call, and they think I ambushed Arnold. My court-appointed lawyer can best be described as a goat with green ears. I didn't have much hope that I would be found innocent. At least my money and housing problems were postponed. I probably won't have to worry about the outcome of my lawsuit, since she made it clear to me that I'm a walking dead fool. When I asked where my dinner was, the guard told me that I had to please him. Otherwise, I would starve to death. "Hi, Steve, this is Howard. What's new? You'd better sit down." "Howard, Lilith shot Arnold and then tried to commit suicide. She's in a state psychiatric hospital." It was surreal to hear Steve describe Lilith's ordeal. "I'll talk to you later, Steve." My head is spinning. My lawyer said he would investigate, and I should wait for his analysis. Would I have to be afraid of anything if I returned home? How do I get my money back to the country? He told me to stay quiet for a few days, and he would check what Steve had told me and let me know what my options were. The next day, having failed to find yesterday's one, I found another. Willing woman. I once read that money can't buy happiness. You can buy ice cream with money. Ice cream makes me happy. There seems to be some kind of gap here. It was nice to have a loving wife until she stopped being one. Helping these single working mothers seems like a humane thing to do. It's been almost 9 months since my lawyer told me I could come back. I don't think that's going to happen. I haven't missed a day since the very first time. Some days I try out some available ladies from the evening all night long. At lunchtime, when they see me coming, they flare up and grope me. Obviously, I'm overpaid, but not in my calculations. No one lost, I think, but they didn't win anything either. I still had heartburn from the kids, so I sent each of them a postcard with a quarter inside. The next time you're faced with a difficult decision, I hope you can find the inner strength and courage to do the right thing. If not, then here's a quarter that you can throw in to make your choice. That's all I'm leaving you. Lilith is considered mentally unstable and remains in a government facility. Murder charges are never dropped, so if she ever gets better, it will only get worse.